Let's go, girls.
Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe.
Let's go! It is Women Talking Football, WTF, not to be confused with WFT. You're watching live coverage of me trying to sync the Women Talking Football logo to the wrong TV. There we go. We got them.
It's up there. Let's go.
Howdy. I am Ashley Pickle, the executive producer. Or, you know what? Here we go. We're a pair of producers for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live. I am the executive producer, Ashley Pickle, sitting over there running the show today. It is our associate producer, Miss Mallory Hartley. Howdy, ma'am.
Howdy, everybody. Or hello. I don't say howdy, I say hello, because I'm from DFW.
Because I'm from Arlington. Well, down in Atlanta,
From
we
Arlington.
say howdy. Man, we have a fun show for you today. I'm really looking forward to this one for multiple reasons. We're going to start off with... you might notice that we're both wearing the same shirt. We'll tell you why that is. We had the honor, honestly, to go to the Nancy Lieberman Charities Dream Ball Gala this past Tuesday evening. It is a charity that supports equality in sports, and that's not just women, but also minorities. So anyone across sports that, had to fight their way into having the right to play and or talk and or do anything regarding sports. So we'll tell you all about that. We had an unbelievable panel that we got to hear from regarding the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which is actually what our shirts say. You can see that Title IX equals 50. So we'll go through that. We'll tell you what games you definitely want to watch out for on Texan Live this weekend. Then we're talking Rio Grande Valley, baby. I am so pumped. I have been looking forward to this one. I called when Mallory was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, it's your turn to host." I was like, "I'm swiping RGV before I can get it taken."
And you're going there in a couple of weeks.
We are going there in a couple of weeks, and there's a huge game in the RGV tonight. Matt Stepp will be there for it, so that's another reason why we kind of wanted to talk about it this week. But we will be joined by KRGV sports reporter Bella Michaels. Very, very excited to have her on. And then in the last portion of the show, Mallory and I will go through and tell you what we're thinking about the RGV and give you some stonks. So amped up. But we had an unbelievable time at Nancy Lieberman's Dream Ball Gala this past Tuesday.
Did. Yeah, it was. I learned so much just going to that ball, man. We got there. They gave us some wine as we're waiting in line to check in and
which
stuff.
Was fantastic.
So which was great. I mean, that was completely unexpected. I even told you before, I was like, man, I feel like a fish out of water here just because I don't feel fancy enough. But anyways, so we check in, we go and sit down. We sit next to our friends Sarah Merrifield and Paige Schnorbach, Valley Sports Southwest. We start eating our salad, and then, of course, Nancy Lieberman comes on and introduces everything. And, it was fantastic. I mean, I learned just so much about Title IX and just about, we'll talk about it in a minute, but we had a panel also that we got to see of just a bunch of women who have done incredible things in the sports world, from tennis all the way to basketball. It was all the whole 9 yards, everything. But man, it was really cool to see how much of an impact they just have made in the sports world. It makes you feel like, man, like I want to do the same exact thing.
Right. Yeah. So
really cool.
To start off with too, for anyone who might be listening to the show that doesn't necessarily know exactly what Title IX is, we tweeted out a picture of our the back of our shirts, have it on there. Let me pull it up real fast so that way I can read to you exactly what the back of our shirts say. This is the legal definition of what Title IX is, and then I'll give you kind of the other side of it. So Title IX reads, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in or be denied the benefits of or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." So basically what that means is Title IX is put into place 50 years ago in 1972 for college college athletics to where you have to have an equal number of male sports as you do female sports. So like the best example that I have here is we both went to the University of North Texas. The University of North Texas is a Division I program that has, you know, anything and everything that you could hope for, but the one sport that's kind of the glaring hole in this is baseball.
Yep.
And a lot of people go, well, you've got the space, you've got the money, just build the baseball field. Well, the reason there's a lot that goes into that, obviously that's a huge program. You're adding all those scholarships, blah, blah, blah. But the other side of it is they can't just add baseball. They would have to add another female sport, whether that be a lacrosse or there's a plethora of different female sports that you can do. But that's what it is. They want to make sure that all the funding in athletics isn't going just to male sports, that it's going to female sports, and that there's equal number of scholarships. You know, there's a bunch of stuff, facility upgrades. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But basically it's saying, hey, male sports are not more important than female sports, which, you know what, we're totally here for. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up too, because I feel like I get asked all the time, just being a North Texas graduate, like, oh, why don't you have baseball? Like you're in a hotbed for baseball recruits. I mean, the DFW is filled with a bunch of great baseball programs, high school baseball programs. And yeah, that's a great point that you bring up, just because you don't really realize it that way, just because your mind automatically goes, oh, can they not afford it?
Right.
You know, is there not enough space for it? But no, there's a deeper meaning.
Yeah, you can't just
get
doing that is not just gaining 9 scholarships for the starters on the baseball team. You know, it's gathering scholarships and all of that stuff for another women's team that you would have to build another facility for. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's great. We're pumped up. We're amped up that it's been around. But we got to sit there and listen to a panel of 6 women talk, and they were all there during really kind of like the solid forming of Title IX and, you know, like when it was really in its infancy. So on the panel were Tamika Catchings, who, if you don't know her, 15-year career in the WNBA, one of the only, she played all 15 years at the Indiana Fever, one of the she's one of only 11 women to receive an Olympic gold medal, an NCAA championship, FIBA World Cup gold, and WNBA championship. So she played under Pat Summitt at Tennessee, obviously legendary head coach. Everyone knows that name. So that played a huge factor into Tennessee has historically been one of the best women's basketball programs forever, and Title IX was a big reason for that. There was Tisha Pinicherio, I believe. I always mess up her last name. I feel very bad, but she played at Old Dominion, a former Conference USA school. That's also where Nancy Lieberman played. But she played at ODU from 1994 to 1998. She was a WNBA star forever, won the championship in 2005 with the Sacramento Monarchs, which is funny because she went from being an Old Dominion Monarch to a Sacramento Monarch. That team, obviously not. I found that funny. Yeah. And then she went into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2019. Then there's obviously Nancy Lieberman. I mean, the Hall of Famer needs no introduction there, from what she did at ODU to what she did in the WNBA to now coaching the Big Three, Olympic gold medals. I mean, no introduction needed for Nancy. Jackie Joyner-Kirsch was there. She won 3 gold medals. She's 3 gold medals, 1 silver, 2 bronze in the heptathlon and long jump. So she's now on the board of directors for USA Track and Field. I mean, I think Sports Illustrated voted her like the best female athlete of all time, what she did. And the heptathlon, I think I'm saying that right, is 100-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, 200 meters like running, long jump, javelin throw, and then the 800,
which to me is very impressive.
Yeah, that's 2 day. It's a 2-day competition,
because I'm sure you got to compete in all 7 events, right? I mean, talk about versatility, man. Like, you gotta be good at everything, and that's hard in track, because like I remember when I ran track, they were like, yeah, you can do pole vault. I was like, bet.
You can do one thing.
Take me off of running. Like, I don't like that. So exactly. That's super impressive.
And then the last person on the panel was Miss Julie Foudy. And if you know her, the legendary soccer player for Team USA, a 2-time FIFA Women's World Cup champion, a 2-time gold medalist for the Olympics. She played on the national team from 1998 to 2004. I think one of the funniest stories she told, if you remember back to the 1999 championship where the U.S. beat China in the World Cup. Everyone remembers that one because it actually went into penalty kicks, and it was Brandy Chastain that she won the penalty. She kicked the winning penalty goal, and then she ripped off her shirt, and she's got like the unbelievable sliding, pit photo.
Yeah.
And Julie was there, and when she was talking about it, she's like, "Yeah, that's probably one of like my favorite memories." And she was like, "Really?" Because when when Brandy did it, she ripped off her shirt, and she was like cut abs. She was like,
yeah.
I was thinking, well, that's a darn good thing she made that, because she was like, I would have went out there and said, look at these love handles, which was just so funny, because I mean, world class athlete, so it's funny to hear him joke about that. But man, it was unbelievable to hear those women sitting all on the same stage about what Title IX means, about the never-ending fight for equality when it comes to women in sports, and how they are the pioneers. And it was really cool because you heard people like Tisha, who went to ODU, and she was like, everyone kept showing her. She came over from Portuguese, and so she said everyone kept showing her Nancy Lieberman, and it's like, oh, like, this is who you're going to be like. And she's like, who's this Nancy lady?
Yeah,
and then she said, we didn't have Google back then, so it was hard to do that. But she goes, then I got my hands on some Nancy film, and she's going, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to live up to this expectation? And so they had showed how Nancy was one of the founding pioneers of this type of stuff. She was going through college when Title IX was really being developed and all that. They were like, look, you helped build us. Now it's our job to help build the next generation. And I think that's what I took most out of that panel.
Right. I thought one of the coolest parts about the panel was Martina. Would you like to pronounce her last name?
Oh, yes. And I didn't even say that. I totally skipped over her. I'm so sorry. That was Martina. It's Nat.
We practiced this before the show.
Navatriola.
Yes,
Navatriola.
I think that sounds right.
18 major singles titles, 31 major women's doubles, 10 majors mixed, so 59 major titles. She was number one in singles for 332 weeks. She was number one in doubles for 237 weeks. I mean, we talked a lot about Serena Williams the other day.
This is a name that you should know, though.
She might still have the cap for best tennis player of all time.
I think so, too. And one of the things I took away from her the most was she's from the Czech Republic. And growing up in the Czech Republic, she's now a U.S. citizen. She came over in about, I think, 1981. But growing up, she told us that female and male sports, you were just expected to play sports. If you whether you were a
Czech
male
Republic
or
is a
female
communist.
athlete.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you were expected. So she's always grown up to basically equality in women in sports. So when she came over here, she was like, we're not as equal in sports? Like, so it was really cool to hear that kind of background story, because you don't think about that, I guess, in other countries.
Right, and another thing that was very, very interesting to hear is not only the battles that she had to go through, to be respected once she got over here. She also has dual citizenship between the Czech Republic and the U.S. And at that point in time, when she was trying to get dual citizenship, she couldn't openly talk about being a lesbian, because she said that at that point she wasn't going to be allowed to be a U.S. citizen with all the laws that were in place and everything. So I mean, from a sports perspective, from a who she is perspective, to all of that, what I thought her most impactful line for me was she was also the Lifetime Achievement Award winner at the gala. And she got to give up there and give a whole speech about what that meant and everything. And she's a little ball of fire, man. She's feisty as hell, and I loved it. I mean, obviously that's how you become that amazing of an athlete.
Right.
But when she was talking about all of that, she goes, every point in my life, whether it's who I want to love, whether it's who I want to play against, whether anything, it was always a, shut up and dribble, just shut up and keep dribbling, which obviously she didn't play basketball. We're not talking about that kind of dribble. We're talking about tennis ball. You still do the same thing. Shut up and dribble. And she was like, I'll keep dribbling. That's fine, but I'll never shut up.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Man, the room, everyone stood up. Everyone started clapping. I've got goosebumps even talking about it, but that's what it is right there.
It really is.
You can tell me to stick to sports. You can tell me to shut up and dribble, but I'm not going to listen to the shut up part.
No, not at all.
So it was It was unbelievable. It was a truly, truly inspiring night to sit there in that amount of greatness and really take it all in. And if that doesn't fire you up to get out here and keep trying to be now us, that next building block for women in sports, then I don't know what can light that fire underneath you.
I mean, it was like a 4-hour event, but it felt like 30 minutes just because of how captivated the whole audience was, male, female, no matter what. I mean, everybody was just so captivated by all the women speaking up, and even the men that were up there too. It was an unbelievable, incredible
and
event.
There's one other person I really want to, you know what, we're going to skip over the Texan live games. If you want to watch high school football games this week, you should. We've got a great slate of them. Go to texanlive.com. All of them are listed there. Or we have our DCTF watch guide that lists them all there too on texasfootball.com. The other person that genuinely deserves an unbelievable shout out is Michaela Nobles. If you are from the DFW area, you may have heard of that name. She is a 17-year-old senior at Prosper High School. Michaela, on Tuesday, it was her 1-year anniversary of the accident she had. She's a cheerleader. She had been cheerleading for all growing up and stuff.
Competitively as well.
And she was in her backyard practicing with some of her friends, and they threw up, she did a flip, she ended up landing on her neck. It has now paralyzed her lower body completely. She has movement of her arms, and she definitely has movement of her face. It looks like she has movement of her wrist, but not of her hands. She can't actually grip stuff and use her hands. So Tuesday was the 1-year anniversary of that. And she is now in a wheelchair and rolls herself around. And she rolled up on that stage in the most gorgeous gold gown that I've ever seen.
Stunning.
I mean, looked unbelievably gorgeous. And she went up there and she got the inspirational award from the Nancy Lieberman Charities. And she got up there, and that girl's outlook on life was unbelievable. She is a 17-year-old girl who is now paralyzed and is having to learn different ways
everything all over again.
To do everything. And she got up there, and she was like, God is not done with me yet, man.
No.
It was unbelievable. If I could even have half that good of an outlook on life when I get mad over the most minuscule things.
I know.
It's unbelievable. She is ready to go out there and kick some ass, and we are super proud of her, and we are determined in the off season we're going to bring Michaela in because she's just right down the road. But
she was so well spoken too.
She just smiled. She just
smiled the whole time. Yeah, she was up there for probably about 5 minutes, I'd say, and just talked the whole time. But man, she's so positive. And I can't even imagine. I can't relate. But, I mean, how do you stay positive in a situation like that? But I
get mad when Premiere shuts down.
I know. When the computer shuts down, it just seems like it's just so impossible to have a positive outlook on life like that. But, I mean, she's incredible. I mean, her speech was great. She's so well-spoken for a 17-year-old. And, man, we wish her the best of luck. She's now training in a facility, I think, in Prosper, and they showed video of her bear crawling literally on her elbows.
Yeah,
for
elbows
20
bleeding,
yards.
and she made it the whole way.
She made it the entire way, and her elbows were bleeding. Yeah, like you said, her elbows were bleeding, but she's a warrior. She is the definition of a warrior.
So, yeah, if you were sick of us raising the women in sports flag, well, the fire just got lit under our ass again. So a huge shout out to Nancy Lieberman and her charities and her son TJ Klein and everything that they're doing to really take this to the next level and really fight the good fight for equality in sports. So we had an unbelievable time. But yeah, there's a little motivation for you on a Thursday when you just might need it. All right, that being said, let's hear from our friends at VCR Now. Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855 Go VCR Now. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR Now.
Every high school athlete wants to play on the big stage, and every parent wants their
What's going
child
on?
to be the
Sorry.
best.
There's our friends at Athletes to Athletes, too. Mallory, I am juiced up because it is time to talk about one of my favorite regions in the state, the Rio Grande Valley. We're headed all the way down south, and who else would we bring on other than our girl Bella Michaels down there at KRGV? She's a sports reporter and weekend news anchor. Bella, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to you, Ashley, and Mallory for, recognizing all the women in sports in Texas, and y'all are killing it.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much. And that's a big reason why we like to have everyone on is so that we can get to know all of you better. Our viewers can get to know everyone better. So that leads me to the question. Give me a little bit of an elevator pitch on who you are and how you made your way down to KRGV.
For sure. Yeah. As you said, the Rio Grande Valley, I know you like it because I was with Matt Stepp earlier today, our sports crew, and he was talking about just how y'all have, your jokes and stuff. And he's like, oh, mess with Ashley a little. Oh, well, he was calling you Pickle. So,
Oh, good.
But yeah, I was with him earlier and he said, she loves the RGV. And the RGV is such a beautiful place. It really is a big community oriented place. So I'm glad to have gotten here, but I'm originally from Chicago. Born and raised, and I had never, lived outside of there besides like when I interned at BN Sports in Miami for a little bit. So, yeah, I'm from Chicago, graduated from DePaul University with my master's in journalism, and got here to the RGV last year. And I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary with KRGV, so it's been really fun. I always wanted to go into sports reporting. I loved soccer first and foremost. And so just, European soccer and NBA, and that's sort of what got me into it. And and I love languages. Foreign languages are my thing. I like to make sure that I think they break barriers. So anytime you can do interviews in multiple languages with foreign athletes, like it's always something that'll help. So yeah, that's sort of like the gist of what I like to do: storytelling, multiple languages, and coming from Chicago.
Man, that is awesome.
That's a
absolutely,
resume.
yeah, that is fantastic. Well, and I guess there's like, you always hear that high school football is so big in the state of Texas. You came down from Chicago. So not only is high school football so big in the state of Texas, the reason that I love Texas high school football down in the RGV is, man, it means so much to those communities. What does that like for you to get to cover a place that looks at Texas high school football and says, this is special?
It is so special that it literally, you feed off of it. When you're on the sidelines reporting, you could have had the craziest day and you could be so tired and drained because you all know what it's like working in news. And then you will suddenly be revived by the passion of the community that's at that game. Like, people live and breathe Texas high school football here. It is insane and it is amazing and so admirable, especially coming from somewhere like Chicago where it's not the same ambiance at all. Like, it's a totally different vibe. And here it's just so special. The families love it. The players grow up from the moment they're like 5, 6, 7 years old. They're already thinking about like what they want to do and how they want to be when they're playing Texas high school football.
Man, that's awesome. Bella, I want to say something. There is a really good shot that one of the teams down there in the RGV could make a really deep playoff run in Edinburgh Vela. What is the whole hype around that team right now?
Like you said, especially with this realignment that we had, it shaped up, 2 teams like Edinburgh Vela and PSG North got bumped down to 5A, and now they're big 5A schools, which gave them a huge advantage. And because of that, now it reshapes the competition. As you said, they can make it further. So Vela right now, as usual, Vela pretty much runs the RGV. It's been a powerhouse, but this season there is a big buzz around the team. They're undefeated going into this game tonight, and it is our game of the week. And I'm pretty sure it's like everyone's game of the week.
Yep, it's ours. That's for sure.
It's exactly. So it deserves to be. So Vela is a great team. It lost, it's star quarterback Chase Campbell from last year, who had stepped in after being the understudy to Sotelo for a while and then coming in and having a blowout amazing season, and then like a running back like PJ Rivera. And now they got another running back that sort of has come in for him and taken a bigger lead. He was on the team before, but Jamal Pauly, I think he's a big part of this whole buzz that they have going on. He's like averaging 145 yards per game. He's got like 9 touchdowns this season, and he didn't play last season that much because of PJ Rivera and all that, but he's going off this season, and I think that's their biggest threat because Vela is more of a running team, and they defensively they also have another player that anyone that's watching the game tonight should be looking out for. He's going to be putting up a big threat to PSG North's offense, Jake Duffner. He's been going off. So I think just Vela altogether is a very dominant team. But I do need to say, PSJA North, do not sleep on them. I think that a lot of people are saying Vela is the top team in the Valley, but I will proudly stand by my take that PSJA North, I think they're the top team in the Valley.
Okay, I like it. Well, and so obviously that's a big statement there with North, and I think that they're a team that we're very high on as well. I think that we all tend to lean a little bit more towards Villa, but if you're right, man, we're going to give you all the credit in the world. What is it about PSJA North that you think is so special, and how do you think that where do your eyes go when you look at the game tonight? Because that's huge. It's one of the biggest games in the Valley in a very long time.
It really is, and as you said, it's just honestly, PSJ North is a very special team. Taking just a quick summary for the people that don't know what their season looked like last year, and it's actually quite good information to know heading into this game. But their sophomore quarterback, he was, projected to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Valley at that time. Ale Aparicio, just a sophomore, was heading into their actually regular season game against Vela, so around this time last year, and a lot of hopes on him, and he ends up getting a season-ending injury by the defensive player, basically, that I just mentioned, by Vela, who's one of their best defensive players, Jake Duffner, last season. So now he's heading into this, and it ended his season. Julius Arredondo, another sophomore, took over for him, and, that O-line that they had I really think the O-line doesn't get enough love. They were able to produce top running backs between Jack Lugo and Isaac Gonzalez. They had over 4,000, 5,000 yards just on, it was just insane. These guys, career-wise, and just everything that they did last season for PSJ North as a running team. And PSJ North has been known as a running team because their head coach, Marcus Kaufman, lives and dies by that. So heading into this season, what makes them so special is that they have that O-line that's, they have a big O-line. They still have running backs like Jason Montez, who returned from last year, and then some new guys. But Ale Aparicio is back, and he's got an arm. He's a dual threat. So they can run the ball, but they can also pass really, really well. And, he's taken that running team that finished with, I believe it was 933 total passing yards last season. But this season, he's already put up 638 yards.
Wow.
And touchdowns just passing. That's already almost at where they were at last season for the whole season. So it's just a lot of stuff that I think PSJ North can do because they're a dual threat. Whereas Vela, looking at this game, they're actually heavier running the ball than PSJ North. And I think their options are a little more limited compared to North. And, people can judge me for saying that. I'm going to I don't care. But I think it's going to be a great matchup. They're two amazing teams, but I think PSJ North also has a great defense too. So I think it's going to come down to special teams tonight, to be quite honest. And Vela has a really good, is good on that end. So we'll see.
No, I love it. I love hearing the differing opinions, especially after, you're down there with the teams. This is exactly what we're looking for. So let me tell you, we're going to hype you up if PSJ North ends up winning tonight. But, okay, obviously those are the two big teams, the teams that we think likely will make it the furthest when it looks up the playoff scope. But maybe take a step out of that. Other than those two teams, are there any other storylines in the RGV this year that if anyone from the state of Texas is going, hey, I would like to know something about the RGV, what would you say maybe one of those storylines would be?
I really think just do not sleep on PSJ North, but another team that I think is really dominant and has had a very dominant start is Harlingen. And Harlingen is no stranger to success. And, and it's if we're speaking historically to the program, just what I've learned within my, I just made it to 1 year here, right? But developing all those connections with the coaches and the players and hearing from them. Harlingen is back to dominance. These guys, they're on a 4-0. Well, last week, actually, I was at their game in Roma. They chose against Laredo United South. They chose that as like a medium, halfway ground. And the game got basically called off due to lightning delays and all that. But Harlingen was winning that one too, all because of this one player that I think has been doing amazing this season. He was injured last season, so he didn't get much what he wanted to do. But Isaiah Bell, he's a running back. He's got 10 touchdowns already this season. That's nearly half of Harlingen's total, like 23 touchdowns they've scored this season. So I think just as a team, Harlingen is one to be looking out for. If you're looking at RGV football and trying to figure out like, okay, who are the other teams? What other talent is there besides Vela and PSG North? Harlingen's up there.
And you kind of already mentioned it. We've talked about a couple players, of course, Jake Duffner of Edinburgh Vela and Jason Montez of PSJA North. Are there any other players maybe from smaller classifications that are making a little bit of noise this year that you have seen?
Yeah, well, so I wouldn't say Weslaco is a smaller classification, but it's the first one that just popped up to my mind because they're also doing great, off to a great start. And they have, Andres Sepulveda. He's already racked up like almost 700 yards and 7 TDs for their, 4-0 start. So that's one player to be looking out for. Jamal, we mentioned. I think Julius, if we go back to PSG North, I think Julius Arredondo, who was their quarterback last season that had to step up when Ale went down, he's someone that I think is really underrated and didn't get as much love that I thought someone as a sophomore should have gotten what he did. And this season, he's showing that he can really be a utility player and do whatever coach asks of him. He's been playing as a tight end, and most of these, he's scored a bunch of touchdowns. I think he's already put up like 4 this season. Just a dynamic duo and being able to adjust, going from the star role and then getting it taken away and then going back and just being there for the team and not thinking of himself. I think Julius Arredondo is a good player to mention too if we're staying with the topic of tonight's big game, just so people can keep an eye out. But another cool storyline and player I think that would be cool to mention is Emily Garcia. She made program history at Sharyland Pioneer as a defensive back, first girl on the team.
We love that.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah, so that is something I definitely soon enough, I think I'm going to be doing a story on her. We'll see, but I think that's something crazy and cool. And the coach was talking about how like this is something that she's been working hard for, and if you can do the work, then you can be on the team. So that's really amazing.
That's awesome. Well, please tag us in that if you end up doing the story. We would absolutely love to see it. And finally, Bella, we will Mallory's not going to be able to make it, but I will be heading down with the rest of the Dave Campbell's crew to your neck in the woods in, I think it's the 3rd week of October. So when we head down there, I've been before, but I'm interested to get your take on, like, what's the one place that we absolutely have to eat at?
Okay, this is the thing. I've had so many different places here, right? Like I've tried so many different places, but I'm so caught onto this place called Taqueria Herradura in Far.
Okay.
It's just like a smaller taco place. And as you know, like if you've been to the RGV, this place, I have not had better Mexican food in my life. And I'm from Chicago. My roots, I love Italian food. That's my what I've been used to growing up. And here, clearly, there's not as much Italian options. But if you're choosing Mexican, you want tacos, I'd go there. But if you want something where you can get anything and it's a nice, like, sports vibe, you can watch games, I always go to Yard House. That's my go-to because almost whatever I'm craving, they have. And
can't go wrong there.
Nice. All right. Well, I am confident in saying that I could eat Mexican food every single meal for the rest of my life and not have a problem. So we'll be hitting up your place in Far there. But she is Bella Michaels, a sports reporter and weekend news anchor there at KRGV. Bella, we really appreciate you hopping on. Have fun putting up with Matt Stepp tonight. If he gives you any problems, please let us know because we're the muscles around these parts. We'll get after him.
Thank you for having me, and when you come out, I'll take you to Taqueria Herradura.
Let's go. I'm holding you to that. That's what's up. Tell Alex we said hi, and we'll be seeing y'all soon. Really appreciate it, Bella.
Thank you. Take care.
She is Bella Michaels, KRGV's sports reporter and weekend news anchor. Our guy, Alex Del Barrio, down there, just my favorite people. Like, if we could pick up our office and move it to the RGV, I would be the happiest person on the face of the planet.
I know. And she was so well spoken too. She really knows. I mean, for only being there for about a year. She really knows her stuff down there. So yeah, make sure to give her a follow on Twitter. I don't remember what the Twitter what her handle was, but you can go back and rewind this and see it on that graphic there. But yeah, make sure to follow her on Twitter for all your RGV sports news. She's doing a fantastic job down there.
It's at Bella Michaels 23.
Okay.
Bella Michaels 23, which she mentioned she was a huge NBA fan, so I'm wondering if that's a nod to Jay, but we'll see. Anyway, we appreciate Bella hopping on. All right, let's dive down into this. So if you'll remember back, if you listen to the show frequently, with the El Paso region, we kind of did the same thing where right now none of the teams in the RGV are state ranked. Bella, if you win tonight,
you could break that.
It's happening. It's happening. I will hold Craig Tepper up against the wall until he puts Bella in those rankings. But so what we did is we have the DCTF computer. It's an unfeeling robot. It doesn't have any bias one way or the other. It legitimately has formulas and it takes statistics and it puts it all in there and it gives you a computer rating. So what we did is in each classification in the RGV, I went through and gathered the highest computer rated team. Again, an unfeeling computer robot. They're the highest rated team in each classification. So let's go ahead and dive on in. We'll start with the UIL's largest classification in 6A. It is the Harlingen Cardinals. Starting off at 4-0, Coach Manny Gomez has his team absolutely rolling. Their offense has always looked good, but a 56-0 shutout over Mission Vets in Week 3 and a 21-7 win over Laredo United South. We'll talk more about Harlingen in just a bit. I'm high on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
5A Division 1, it is the shining star of the RGV, the new perennial powerhouse with an unbelievably big game tonight. It is Edinburgh Vela. We will talk again more about them because let's face it, the reason that we wanted to do this segment this week is because that matchup against PSJA North, good Lord, tonight is the highlight. 5A Division 2, the Mission Veterans Memorial Patriots. One of my favorite humans on the planet, David Gilpin, has his team rolling there in 5A Division 2. Moving on, 4A Division 1, it is the La Feria Lions. 4A Division 2, one of the best mascots, the Port Isabel Silver Tarpons.
What is a silver tarpon? Is that a fish?
A tarpon?
Tarpon's a fish, right?
I think, is a tarpon not a swordfish?
I think you're right. They're
a
silver. I think they're silver, so that would make a lot of sense. Also, swordfish are scary.
No,
so.
okay, so they're not. It's
Dang
just,
it.
It's a big old fish.
It's still scary.
Are tarpon good eating fish? Tarpon is edible, but people rarely eat them because their meat contains a lot of small bones.
Ew.
And it is reported that they don't taste very good.
Okay, then. Well, I guess that's good. No one's going to eat them
so
up.
They're the predators, not the prey.
The
Fish
predators.
are friends, not food. 3A Division 1, we have the Lyford Bulldogs. And then rounding it all out with our smallest classifications in the RGV, that is 3A Division 2, the Santa Rosa Warriors, off to a very nice 3-1 start. And then the Fremont Cowboys round it all out in the RGV smallest classification in 2A Division 1. So again, that was according to the computer rating, not the DCTF rankings. That is different, but the computer takes them all, ranks them, and those were the ratings. So with that all being said, we've got the teams out of the way. Let's go over to my dad. True story. I was talking to my dad last night on the phone, and he was like, yeah, well, Mallory's the concierge of vibes. And I was like, I usually say coordinator, but we were talking about booking hotels. Okay. That's why.
I like that. I like it because it's classier.
Concierge of vibes.
Yeah, vibes.
For our players to watch in the Rio Grande Valley.
All right, let's get to some really good ones here. Let's start off real strong. We'll start off in the highest classification here with Los Fresnos quarterback Robert Pineda? Pineda. Okay, nice. All right, if you haven't heard of this guy, this is his first year on varsity. Okay. You want to know why? He's a freshman.
Wow. I didn't even realize
starting quarterback, and he's already going to camps. He visited Baylor this past summer, already already getting the ball rolling. He's a dual threat quarterback he's super quick, super elusive on the field, and he can just make plays happen. And of course, he's a little undersized right now, which is expected because he's only starting right now as a freshman.
Yeah, he's like, what, 14?
Yeah, exactly. 14, maybe 15 if you're lucky here. But of course, he's expected to grow. He's got Los Fresnos just rolling right now, 3-1 record. He was named the RGV Sports Player of the Week 2 weeks ago in their 36-33 win over PSJA. Already, he has thrown for 495 yards and 6 touchdowns while rushing for 432 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. And now I wouldn't typically bring this stat up because it's just not usually relevant, but here it is relevant. He led his 7th and 8th grade team to an undefeated season, claiming district titles both years.
Wow.
So this dude...
So yeah,
watch
man, a
out
name to
for
know.
him.
No
Watch
kidding.
out for him. I'm saying, like, if I can pull like a Mike Roach right now, look out for this guy. Like, I'm gonna be
We're
looking.
going
He's
with a
gonna
class
be my
of what,
guy.
2027?
2026.
God,
Yep. So
we're
look,
old.
look out for this guy. He's an explosive player.
I'll be interested.
He's gonna be real good.
I want to see what his because he looks like he's got a little bit of height on him actually. So I would be interested to see what his parents look like. Like, is he going to really kind of grow? Because if he can grow a little bit, that's a force to be reckoned with down there.
Right. I mean, he's already
Interesting.
putting up those numbers like that.
All right, you
Man.
heard it here first. When this kid's going D1 at some point, Mallory's gonna wave the banner. Hire her now. Don't hire her.
Yeah. Don't hire me. I like it here.
Good.
Let's head on over to, you've heard his name already this show, Edinburgh Vela defensive end Jake Duffner. He stands at 6'1", weighing 205 pounds. A standout, earned District 31 6A defensive MVP last year in the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. And man, this dude gives opponents a lot of trouble. Like we mentioned earlier, Edinburgh Vela shut out McAllen Memorial. And Duffner, well, I guess this was last week, and Duffner was really just a difference maker down there. He batted down 2 passes in the backfield, had multiple tackles, and helped force a fumble that eventually led to a Vela touchdown. And the defense, listen to this, the defense as a whole, I know that Bella already brought this up, but the defense as a whole over there at Vela has only allowed 34 points all season, holding each team to 2 scores or even less than that, shutting them out like they did last week.
Yeah, I did the math earlier. I
unit
think
is
it comes out to
wild.
like 8.75 points per game or something.
Yeah.
Like that's wild.
Yeah, that defensive unit over there
He's
is
huge,
just
too.
wild. Yeah. Moving on down, PSJA North running back Jason Montez. We'll actually get to see Montez and Duffner go head-to-head
Let's
tonight.
go.
So I'm really excited about this.
Let's go.
Montez has got some good size. He's 5'8", 185 pounds, but man, he is quick. He's recorded 512 yards and 3 touchdowns this season so far. And the thing about PSJA North, we've already talked about it a little bit, but that offensive line is just incredible. And to prove this, listen to this. In the first game that PSJA North played this season, they played PSJA, the Raiders had 8 different running backs carry the ball 49 times. So if that doesn't speak to how good this offensive line is as a unit, I don't know what else does.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not.
All right, let's look at another 5A player, Mission Memorial linebacker Luis De Hoyos. He's part of the Blue Dog defense, is what they call them.
Blue
over there.
Dogs.
That's pretty cool, being a 3-year starter on a varsity. All right, that was good.
Thank you. The
really
dog
good.
pound.
Yeah, the dog pound.
It is me, the dog pound.
The creator of dog voices. Dog pound. Blue Dog defense. I want to be a part of the Blue Dog defense, man. That sounds
Dude,
pretty.
Coach
Gilpin
Gilpin
over there,
would
like-
let us be a part of the Blue
He
Dog
would.
defense. We're shout out Goming Green. Shout out Coach
Yeah,
Gilpin,
well,
Goming
yeah.
Green.
Yeah, we'll have to send this to him. That's hilarious. But anyways, De Hoyos ranks 13th in the region for total tackles. He's checking in with 39 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, and 1 interception already on this season. This dude is just downright physical when it comes to tackling other players, and often little or no yards gained in a game. But man, he's a beast out there. One that Coach Gilpin should be thrilled to have as a backer.
My guy.
My guy. All right, let's get to Port Isabel quarterback Rodolfo, or Rudy, as he goes by, Barrera. He is the District 16 4A Division II preseason offensive MVP. He stands at 5'8", weighing 190 pounds. And man, he's got a great physique for a running quarterback, and he's quick on his feet. He's already rushed for 281 yards and 4 touchdowns, helping the Tarpons in their 3-1 season start. And Port Isabel hasn't been fantastic in years past, but man, with Tony Villarreal, I believe that's how you say his last name.
Villarreal.
Yes, at the helm and Barrera under center the past 2 seasons, they have really been able to turn that program around. I think a couple years ago they had like maybe 3 wins, but last year they went 8-4, and of course this year starting out 3-1. That's incredible.
Yep.
And to round it all out, let's go down to 2A. Fremont running back and defensive back Andrew Christian. He is the 16-2A Division I preseason offensive MVP and has led the way for the Cowboys in their 3-1 season start. He's already rushed for 803 yards and 11 touchdowns in just 4 games. He is just a dynamic playmaker who also, in fact, lines up at safety as well. He's just super quick, and he also runs track too. So
that would make sense.
That definitely speaks to his quickness.
Yeah,
there.
he's like, why run a 400 when I can just run into the end zone?
Yep, that's exactly right. So there you go. There are some players to watch in the RGV region.
Having the V and then region right after that, it's
tough.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, of course there's talent all over that region, but those are a couple of players that have stood out so far already this season. So
there we go, our concierge of vibes, and now our concierge of vibes will bring immaculate vibes because it's time for stonks.
Always try your hand up songs. Always try.
It's so good you gotta run it twice.
Jeez.
Stonks.
Man, I was not prepared for that, dude.
Amazing. Let's take a look at some stonks here. And the stonks are they're stonking hard. They're
stonking hard, yeah.
We are excelling in stonks because we've talked about them all day, but let's talk about the Edinburgh Bayless Sabercats. We won't spend too much time on this, but this truly is. This game tonight with PSJA North is going to be one of the biggest games that's been played in the RGV, especially in the regular season for a long time, because you look at the scope of 5A Division I, you look at Region 4, you've heard us say it over and over again. If Vela can go out there, and you heard Bella, she is calling it. She really likes PSJA North. So maybe there's something that we just haven't seen as much. I am still very, very much high on Edinburgh Vela. I think if they go out there tonight and they truly put one on PSJA North, then I think that's sending signals to the entire state that they're not good for Valley standards. They're good for the state of Texas standards.
And I think to speak a little bit to that is if you look at their record so far, they're 4-0, right? But they are just blowing people out of the water. And the thing that's most impressive about Vela so far is that they're kind of dominant in all 3 phases of the game, especially special teams. They had like 3 special teams touchdowns.
Yeah, 3 punt returns last week.
3 punt returns for a touch. Like that's insane. But I think that, man, if they win tonight, they absolutely deserve to be ranked. And like you said, not just good for the RGV, but literally they're a contender for the entire state.
Yeah, the offensive line with Ronnie Ramirez and Noah Racha has been outstanding. It opens those holes for DeLon and Polly to run through. They each had 3 rushing touchdowns last week. So, I mean, the ground game is absolutely there. This game honestly has a chance to go by really quickly tonight because both of these teams are really ground and pound. They're going to want to fight till the battle there. So the battle to watch out for tonight is going to be in the trenches. Which defensive line is going to be able to stop the opposite's rushing attack? I think that's going to be a battle that will be quite interesting to see how it goes down. But I genuinely think Vela can do it. I think that they can make it to that state semifinal game. They would obviously have a big test then taking on an opponent from Region 3. But this is the best shot that we thought maybe, the Landry Gilpin year, Mission Veterans Memorial in 2018, our Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year, they made it 4 rounds deep. Then we thought maybe it would happen when Eddie Lee Marburger was at Sherilyn Pioneer. We let ELM cook. I was there at that game when they lost to Liberty Hill. They almost had it to get to the 4th round. So this genuinely seems like all paths are pointing to Vela. If they can get this done tonight in a very good fashion, we will come away with it. They will be ranked after that, and they will be solidifying themselves as the favorite in Region 4. So interested to see that. The other stonks that I think are trending up in a really good direction. And I don't think this might come as a shock, but when it talks about playoff scope is when it might come into a shock there. The Harlingen Cardinals. So Coach Manny Gomez always has consistency for Harlingen. The game that the Dave Campbell's crew is going down for is the Battle of the Eau Royale, which will be Harlingen and San Benito. So that'll be a big test. But Harlingen has been, really having their way with people so far. A 56-0 shutout over Mission Veterans Memorial, which, they were the team that in week 1, they took down Mission in that crosstown rivalry. And we're going, okay, maybe they're really good.
Legit? Yeah.
To go out there and beat them 56-0, that is insane. They beat Laredo United South 21-7, and here's why I think that is a little bit interesting. Because when you look at the playoff scope, again, we're sticking in Region 4 here. We're all the way down in the southern part of Texas. In their district this year, they are the 3rd largest school in that district, and it looks to me like something really crazy would have to happen for them not to go 6A Division II in the playoff split, because Los Fresnos and San Benito are both larger schools than them, and then it's them and Weslaco. So they're bigger than Weslaco, and then the 2 other schools are Brownsville Hanna and Brownsville Riviera, and that's in 32-6A. So in my mind, I think that it's going to be very, very difficult for the Brownsville schools to be able to take down really any of those teams, because San Benito, Los Fresnos, Harlingen, and Weslaco are all very good teams. 3 of them are 4-0, and then the other one is 3-1.
Yeah.
So I think that ends up boding well for them this year, because it is almost a lock that Lake Travis and Westlake are going to go D1. Now, that might sound crazy, but stick with me here. That's where the key factor here is when you take a look at what a winner, like if Harlingen could win this district, if you take a look at what they would have to do throughout the playoffs, they're going to inevitably end up against someone out of 26-6A, which is really that power nexus district in 6A Region 4. So most of the time, Lake Travis and Westlake will split. Well, if they're both guaranteed to go up, there is a new player in the clubhouse, and that's Dripping Springs, now being moved up from 5A Division 1 to 26-6A. And I think that it's likely that Dripping Springs will end up being the 3rd team in that district. Hell, maybe Dripping Springs could beat Lake Travis, and that would still push Lake Travis back there. So they're going to have that one big test. But I think anything other than that, I think they have a really good shot to meet up with someone in the regional semis. And at this point in the year, honestly, if somehow it was Lake Travis won't drop down. But in years past, they would end up in 6A Division 1 with Lake Travis. This could have been the year that they at least could have put up a fight,
Right.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who kind of gets that 3rd seed there. Will it be Austin Bowie? Will it be Dripping Springs? Whoever that is, it looks like the bottom part should be a fairly easy way to at least the regional semis, which at that point you're in the 3rd round of the playoffs, and that's what you're looking for. So I think if the Cardinals can really stick to this, if its defense continues to look as good as it has, there's some noise to be had down there for another RGV team, at least in the 6A ranks, to at least the 3rd round. And you can't complain about that.
No. So technically, you've got 2 shots down there to maybe see a team make it to AT&T Stadium. Pretty good chances, I would say, of course, barring enrollment and stuff like that. But yeah, you got some good chances of maybe seeing an RGV. Man, can you imagine that stadium?
Yeah.
If an RGV team makes it to AT&T Stadium, it's gonna be rocking.
Because we've talked about that in the Dave Campbell's offices. I know that Step mentioned it on Tep and Step, but there is a chance that we could see Longview and Edinburgh Vela in the 5A Division 1 state championships. There would legitimately be 75,000 people in AT&T Stadium if that happened. Because
more than a Cowboys game, I'd say.
At this point, yeah,
literally.
I'm not buying in on this Cooper Rush crap. It'll all fall. Don't get me started on that. The hype part here
We're talking about RGV here.
There is legitimately a chance that an RGV team can do it this year. A lot of that will be depending on tonight, how it goes with Edinburgh Vela, PSJ North. That one going down tonight. Matt Stepp will be there. We think it might be being streamed. If it's not, you can follow along on Twitter. But that'll do it for our RGV coverage. A reminder real fast that you and I, this is not our last show of the day. We have another one this evening. It'll be my third show of the day. If y'all are tired of seeing my face, get ready because it's all tonight. But we have our first Dave Campbell's Texas Football watch along. We will be watching Tomball Memorial and Klein Kane on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. So wherever you're watching this show right now, come back at 7 o'clock this evening. We'll have a screen that you'll be able to watch the game and watch commentary with myself, Mallory, Ishmael Johnson on our team, and then 24/7's Mike Roach and Mount Pleasant head coach Joe Klughley coming in all the way from Mount Pleasant. That's about a 2-hour drive on a Thursday.
Man, that's dedication.
It is. So
that's dedication.
Insanely excited. I'm fixing to order the pizza right now to be picked up. I'm not going to pick it up now, but we'll have pizza. We'll have water in red Solo cups. We'll have a game going on. So we are super amped up. Please come wherever you're at. 7 o'clock tonight. Come watch a little football with us.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Are you excited? This is your first one.
I know. I'm very excited. I don't really know what to expect. I mean, I've watched a couple of the other ones.
It's good.
Like,
it's just guys being dudes.
I was going to say that. Just guys being dudes. You got another female with you this time. So
what's
hopefully
better
I can
than
make
that?
it a good experience. What's better than that? I know. Hopefully I can make it a good experience for you guys.
So it's going to be gals being girls. What's
Gals
better
being-
than that?
Gals being dudes too.
Gals being bros. That's what it's going to be. So if you want to come bro out with Mallory and I, join us back here at 7. But we really appreciate Bella Michaels coming on. Matt Stepp, if you're listening to this, you lucky son of a gun, have a blast at that game tonight. Remember, games all night on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, TexanLive.com, and all weekend. Other than that, you know what? We'll be back next Thursday.